Hey team, and welcome. I'm your host, Carrie, creator of Mother Life, your destination for all things real talk and parenting. This is the IRL group chat, where we talk about the wild balancing act of pursuing careers and passions while also doing our best to show up for our kids. Join me every week as I sit down with some badass parents in my closet and we talk about their careers, kids, and relationships and all of the weird shit that comes up when you're trying to balance the seemingly impossible. In the great parenthood canon of the day, we talk a lot about apologizing, that we shouldn't force our kids to say, I'm sorry, if they don't mean it. It just leads to hollow words and no action. That we should make sure we apologize when we mess up. Make sure our kids know that we understand we make mistakes and that we can own those mistakes. But how much do we talk about forgiveness? Not a lot in my experience. And the gauntlet of parenting, it seems, from younger kids taking artistic license with finger paint on white walls, to toddlers throwing temper tantrums over ice cream flavors, to inevitably teenagers saying some really hurtful, shitty stuff to us. There are a lot of opportunities to model forgiveness for our kids too. In fact, the job description of parent, at least the job description for someone who's trying to have a healthy relationship with their kids, it demands demonstrating forgiveness. Because ultimately, forgiving someone, truly forgiving someone, not just going through the motions, means loving them regardless of their mistakes and not reminding them of their faults at every given moment. At this stage of life, I find I'm also just being asked to forgive other people all over the place. Forgiving parents for things they may have done in childhood, siblings, forgiving myself. And it really is, at least I find, much easier said than done. Because there's a difference between moving past something and letting the friction erode a base level love and moving through it. When you move through it, you're moving through it with love still intact. That's hard. And I don't think I'm there yet. I'm really trying, but I suppose the first step is recognizing that there is a difference between moving past and moving through. This episode brought up so much for me. How much we can unwittingly come to depend on our kids for purpose outside of ourselves. How powerful mindset and purpose can be for getting out of very bad situations. And how love, the act of loving others, even if loving ourselves seems tricky, that can propel us through some of our hardest times. Today is our Father's Day episode, and I truly cannot think of a better guy to celebrate. Chad Wolf, frontman of the band Carolina Liar, was saved quite literally by his title of dad. Being needed by his son put his life in such sharp focus that even at rock bottom, he could see clearly where he needed to go and who he needed to be in order to give his kid the father he deserved. Being a parent when you've got every resource at your fingertips is hard enough. Now imagine doing all of that when everything's been stripped away from you and only having your own brain and the power to love to pull you out of it. That's epic. To prep for this episode, I went back and listened to Carolina Liar's music, the soundtrack of moody scenes in film and TV in the early 2000s. It was a heady hit of nostalgia and stunning vocals. Their debut album, coming to terms with hits like Show Me What I'm Looking For, Show Me What I'm Looking For, you know the song. Platinum certified single, No Big Deal, was produced by the legendary Max Martin. The band toured with musical forces of nature of the day like Kelly Clarkson and Gavin DeGraw, and listening back to the episode, while I was very excited about the nostalgic factor of the music of the past, I'm all the more excited now for the next chapter of music for Chad, because their hits were great, but I think what's coming is going to be even better. Enjoy this episode. A couple of trigger warnings. There are conversations around corporal punishment and suicidal ideation, so be kind to yourselves. Happy Father's Day to you, team. If you're celebrating a dad in your life today, just remember it doesn't take away from everything you do to give them their moment in the spotlight. Odds are, when the kids are grown and feeling like shit, they're still going to want their mommy. Love you guys. Welcome to the closet.
This is kind of my closet. I live up here. This is my workroom.
I do like that green chair situation.
Nice, right? You see the pug over there?
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have any pets?
Not anymore. No time, unfortunately.
I mean, I've seen you be in a tangle with a raccoon before.
I tried to be kind to those little raccoons. They needed help. They didn't need help. They really did not need help. It was just, I was just, I was just trying to my best to my partner. She was so worried, and they were kind of stuck underneath an air conditioner, and then they got their way out, but their mom couldn't get to them, and so one was fine. One raccoon worked out fine. It was the other little guy who started freaking out. That's what caused that mom to just go
To go
mom.
for you. Yeah, I look forward. I'm gonna share that clip in the show notes because it's very pure.
Yeah, it's
It's very
real.
pure. I'm gonna share it.
I mean, I'm out there in some clogs and some like,
Listeners, for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, there's a video circulating on the internet that I think went accidentally a little
it
viral,
went a
didn't
little
it?
viral. That thing, yeah, it hit 1 million at some point.
Of 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 Chad trying to very innocently help some little raccoon baby cubs, and they got stuck. And his mom, the raccoon's moms, did not feel like Chad was helping.
Not at all.
And she had some things to say about that. So I'll put that in the show notes because it is a little bit of levity. I do love any sort of animal related video,
Yeah,
and that was a particularly
that's
good
a
one.
good one.
But we're gonna start in South Carolina
All
because
right.
that's where you were born there, right?
Yeah, born in South
Okay.
Carolina.
Born in South Carolina. We're gonna get to today. You don't live in LA anymore, right? Well, you do. You live like coastal
Yeah,
south.
south of LA. It's not technically,
South.
yeah, Sunset Beach, Seal Beach, just outside of Long Beach.
Okay. So we're gonna follow this journey. Maybe make some stops in Sweden along the
Yeah,
way and get to today.
get some
Okay.
lingonberries.
Yeah. Let's start. Is it Monk? How do you say it? Monks or
Hmm.
Monks Corner?
I probably say
Corner?
Moncks Corner. Yeah, Moncks
Monks
Corner.
Corner.
Yeah, Moncks Corner, South Carolina.
I know it's not spelled the same way, but were there a lot of monks in Monks Corner?
Yeah, believe it or not, there was a place that was called Mepkin Abbey, and the reason it was Monk's Corner, it allegedly, there was a corner where the monks would sell eggs, and so some of the friars would come out, and they had this one little corner that you could go and buy your eggs. It was guess it was the best place to buy good eggs, and that's how they made their money to keep their abbey.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Well, I
know,
mean,
right?
they would be swimming in it now if they were still selling eggs, because let me tell
Oh, it
you.
would be the greatest deal going. They could be killing it.
Okay. And what is the closest town or like larger city? Is it Charleston?
Charleston. Yeah, it's
Okay.
definitely Charleston.
And I've been to Charleston, I think twice in my life,
Yeah.
but it's very sort of like dandy and sort of a captured in time. Is that what Monk's
Yeah.
Corner was like?
No, Monk's Corner was just this weird. Well, I mean, it was a weird spot because at one point in time, and even in our high school anthem, I think they've rewritten it at some point in time. It was the place that Al Capone, because of the swamps and everything down there, and the people were so good at making illegal alcohol, that was the place where a lot of the stuff would be brewed. And so it's this kind of swampy. It was. It's developed now a bit because of all the. I think it's Volvo and Boeing, a bunch of plants like that have come down there, so it's growing. But when I grew up, I lived on a dirt road, like proper dirt street, and it was as redneck as you could possibly get. It was stick land for real. And Monk's Corner was kind of the same, tiny little town, one little single street. Nothing cool like Charleston. None of those like beautiful historic houses or anything like that. Not while I was
Just
there. Just
swampy South.
proper swamp south.
And what do you have siblings?
Two older sisters.
Okay, so you're the
I'm the baby.
baby.
Yeah, totally.
And do your sisters, where do they live now? If they're still with
Yeah,
us.
they're in South Carolina. Both.
Okay.
One is in closer to Greenville, South Carolina, and the other is in Monk's Corner, still outside of Monk's Corner, but yeah, right around there. A place called Goose Creek.
What does outside of the one dirt road town look like?
Man, it's strip malls now. Like there,
Okay.
it's kind of awesome, really. For the longest time, it was just these massive, like pine forest and blackwater swamps down through there. So just kind of a magical land in some ways, and you could just get out into the forest and just kind of peruse. It was great, but now it's kind of just gotten into that like urban sprawl thing. And
Yeah.
they're trying to contain it. They're trying to get a grasp on it, but developers are just hungry for cash, so they just don't care, you know.
No, they got to pave paradise and put up that parking lot.
Hell yeah, they do.
Okay, so they're still there. Are you guys all sort of close in age, or are there any big age gaps?
8 years to my oldest sister and 4
Okay.
to my second. So, but
Okay.
my oldest sister was the one who really got me into music and everything because she was kind of, she was a bit of a loner. So whenever she was in high school, that would have put me right around middle school, like fifth, sixth grade, something like that. And so, well, she was going into college, and she got me introduced into like the cool bands. All like it was the U2 Rattle and Hum record and all of her stuff. She was listening to a lot of cool Cheap Trick stuff. She had like one of those angular haircuts, really new wave. She was pushing it. For living in the South, she like really went for it. For a while, she couldn't quite put together that she was kind of wearing this kind of lesbian dynamic, and she didn't really quite get it when she was young. She was like wearing muscle t-shirts and having this kind of demeanor. She's like, wait, people, I didn't put it together that people might have thought that I was gay, because I had kind of assumed this identity for the longest time. And so
Yeah.
she really was just trying to find herself, and seeing her kind of led me into a way of a whole different dimension of seeing and appreciating people in a different fashion, because she pushed really hard to be different.
I was gonna ask you where that came from. I mean, did you grow up with both of your parents?
Mom and dad both,
Okay.
yeah.
And what were they doing for work when you were growing up?
She was cleaning houses, so we'd all go and clean houses with her. We'd clean our church. My dad worked at a shipyard, in Charleston Naval Shipyard. He was on like a lot of those nuclear submarines, doing who knows what on those things. I don't know. He's gotten older now, and some of the conversations have gotten a whole lot more interesting as he's
I
gotten
bet.
up to in his 80s. He's like, I guess I can talk about this stuff now. It's like,
You know what
oh,
they say, Chad? Loose lips sink
they
ships.
really would have, apparently.
Apparently, I bet he has
He's
stories.
got stories. Like, there was things that have come out that have just been like, what are you talking about? That happened in the 80s? What? And he's like, yeah, there were submarines that were there in the harbor in Charleston that had things on them. It's like, what? And
That
nobody,
doesn't feel good.
no, but I guess it's just what it was. It was the 80s.
It was the 80s.
You know, I guess that's the only way you can explain it.
Just it was the 80s. And you mentioned that your mom was one of the jobs that she had was cleaning your church.
Yeah.
Did you grow up in a religious household?
Super religious. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. She would never have thought that we were like a super religious thing, but we're Pentecostal Holiness, not the ones that the same people that our chapter didn't do the snake charming thing where we'd reach, but those guys, like that kind of like people, everybody prays out loud, but a different prayer at the same time. Holy Ghost stuff. I've seen 2 incidents that I can really attest to it being something more than just people pretending that they could speak in tongues. One particular one, when I was a little guy, this lady, it was like one of those revival things where they bring in like a new preacher, and this preacher came in and started like doing his thing, and it was really emotional. And I don't know if it was just the energy that she was feeling or what was there, but she stood up, and she had really straight hair. And as like, the sound comes out of this lady where I cannot, like, still to this day, it's almost emotional thinking about it. And then her hair starts to curl. Like, there is literally like,
Fuck?
yeah, there's like electricity in the air, and it's almost staticky, but it doesn't go out. It just starts curling. And like the humidity in the room is intense. It's the whole southern thing. And I just remember being like so in reverence to that. Like, okay, that's something. And then at one point when I was older, there was a time where somebody like stood up in the middle of this, like, you know, a Sunday afternoon sermon, and they started speaking this language. And it was a real language. You could tell there's a dynamic to it, all the things.
There's like syntax.
Yeah, there's that. And they're just looking at everybody like they should be able to be understood. And nobody but somebody in the church understood it. There was a person there in that church who could fully understand what this person was saying. And later they went to our preacher and told them what they heard. And whatever it was some discussion of somebody in the church needed to hear this message. And to that degree of what that church was, that's a lot of the stuff they believed. So Oh
So
no.
that sounds like going to church was kind of a good time. Like that's pretty interesting.
Sometimes it was good. It was really, really like powerful. I remember like at one point getting saved. It was the way that we got saved at our church. So the only way you could get into heaven was to like go up, attest to your sins in front of everyone, and then everybody in the whole church comes up and puts their hands on you and they pray over you while
Wow.
they do that. And I remember being in this thing, and all these prayers and everything is going on, and it's incredibly emotional. And then all of a sudden, there's a voice that it's not my normal voice, not the one that I used to talk to myself with. Something comes through, and it's like, you never had to do this. You've been fine the entire time. And I start laughing, like uncontrollably laughing. And my preacher at the time, he's like, "You can feel it now, can't you, son? You feel it. Can you feel the Holy Ghost?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I feel it. I don't know how to process what I'm feeling other than just like, are you kidding me? This is the joke? This is the inside line?" And I just like, in 12th grade, so I was like a high school student, because at the time
Wow.
I was thinking about going into being like at some point being a preacher. My mom stopped me from doing it. But yeah, so we were a religious family, but yeah,
Your mom stopped you from doing it.
yeah, she knew I wasn't really good around, like if there were women around, I would have never been like a good preacher, and that would have been like any other preacher. It's just like there's just too much opportunity for you there, and you have
Temptation.
you have no restraint. You can't do that. Moms
Okay,
know,
mom.
man. Moms know. They just know. Like they
I
really
love that.
do, when it really comes down to it. She always knew. I remember her being like, one day having some girlfriend in middle school, and out of nowhere, she's like, "Did your girlfriend break up with you today?" And I was like, "How did you know that? Like, on why would you even say that?" But she just knew. Like, she had that like instinct that
Wow.
women and moms, only moms can have, but something in her just like she knew me. She
And
really
it
did.
sounds like you guys like just are were she's still with us?
Nah, she had to leave a couple years ago. She got this kind of I can't remember the exact name of the cancer, but it wasn't. It was cancer that was around the basically the casing that holds your intestines and all of that. It was super rare. She got
Horrible.
that, yeah, and it manifested into tumors and all of these things. And she found it. The doctors were like, "Oh, we can clean it out and help you. Like, you should have." She checked herself into the hospital, and like she was fine, but the surgery that they performed on her was too
Mm,
much, and she died like a week or two later after the surgery. But she
that's
checked her.
horrible.
Yeah, it was rough. But the most powerful part of that whole thing was at some point after the surgery, she was just like, "Okay, so this thing is terminal. I'm not going to do it here in the hospital." And we're like, "Okay, what do you want to do?" She's like, "Well, it's my choice. So I want to go. Let's get us into a hospice as soon as I can. I'm
Y-
not going to make you guys suffer through this. I'm not hanging out. This is my choice, and I'm going to do it this way." And I didn't know that she had that. Like, I thought maybe, but you just don't know when people are at the end what they really would do. And for her, she just
Yes.
like, "Nope, I'm not. You guys aren't doing this. I'm not putting my
Yeah.
family through it. You guys are. We're going. I'm going home." In her mind. So
What a legend.
yeah, totally.
It really is. I went through this somewhat recently, and it's like it starts to become agony if somebody's trying to hold on for too long,
Yeah.
because we all know what the end result is, and everybody's said everything that they want to say, and
Mm-hmm.
and then you're like, okay, now you're just all making us suffer,
Yeah.
and you're making yourself suffer, and
And for
I
what?
wish there why, yeah, like it's so tough. So shout out, mom. This makes a lot of sense why I know you have a lot of respect and love and time for moms.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you guys were very close.
Yeah, we were close, and it's funny because we weren't. Like, it was like one of those things where we had to do a serious, like, for her, I think it was a development growth, because she only knew like capital punishment. You growing up in the South understand that. So at some point,
I mean, I'm still Jewish, Chad.
yeah.
Like I didn't grow up
Oh,
in the
you
kind of
didn't go
South
up
you
in
grew up.
that kind of South.
Like
No,
no,
I'm trailer
I
park
was not
South.
receiving. Yeah, I was not receiving any whoopings.
Thank God. They're terrible. Like, yeah, there's communication. We didn't have communication at all until like some point. I mean, and I think that's something that was part of that culture of like, I mean, we were really like, we grew up in a double wide trailer. The people next to us had 3 trailers on their lot. There were, at one point in time, some prostitutes that lived in one of the trailers behind us, some drug dealers at one point. There were people dying all the time randomly from like just doing stupid redneck stuff. Like really, like there was a guy that died in a burning leaves one day. We were coming home in 5th grade, and we're coming around the corner in our bus, and we're like, oh, there's a bunch of ambulances out there. But it was this guy who loved to hit the old nap, and he, I guess, decided to get pretty drunk, and he would beat up on his wives pretty often too. So there's some,
Did you just say wives?
yeah.
Sure.
So so he had a few, and he beat up on a lot of people, and so there's this weird justice that kind of happened in that neighborhood where things just kind of took care of themselves in ways like that. But it was very like capital punishment thing. My mom beat me up pretty good, and at some point in time, she was working on me, and because I didn't agree, I got in some argument with her while I was in like middle school or high school, and she
Yeah.
started smacking me like hard, and it didn't hurt anymore. I'd learned to kind of like turn that pain around. I just didn't feel it, and like any smart ass, I was like, hit me again. If it makes you feel better, I won't feel it. And so she did, and she just kept doing it, and I was like, this isn't going to work anymore. And that's when I decided, I was like, I'm out of this house as soon as I get old enough. And I moved, came to Los Angeles, and really rebuilt what I thought life should be. And
Yeah.
the two of us just kind of kept working through it. And even up until literally while she was in the hospital, the day before going to hospice, she came back to me with all of those like times that were the beatings got a little bit too far.
Yeah.
And so she wanted to make peace with it, and we did. She just like, I was never do that. And I was like, I know. She's like, I just want to make sure you understand, like, and your dad didn't really understand a lot of what was going on whenever he would do that. And I was like, that's been dealt with years ago. I forgave you guys. Like, I can't hold you guys for that. You knew what you knew. But it's why I had to have some distance from you too. And that's what happened. But I still love you. And like, it is that thing of forgiveness. When you forgive, you got to like really live it. You can have boundaries. Boundaries can
Yeah.
protect you. I know like I did not need to be in a place like that. It wasn't healthy for me anymore. And in order to pursue this kind of wild life of things that are just like this, you can't have that. You can't like try to communicate with people and then live in this place where you can beat people up out of force and like what?
That takes such strength and acceptance, like a real radical acceptance that I think people hear about and talk about in their respective therapies and stuff.
Yeah.
That is really hard to actually live.
Yeah. And well, you know what it is? I think it's whenever you have kids, once you have a kid, your instinct is to go to what you know. And what I did know was that. Like, I understood, like, one way to get your kids to maybe listen to you is to be brutal. And at some point, I felt myself and when my son was just kind of moving around and testing, I could feel myself go there. And then it's like, wait, you have all this years of communication. He just doesn't understand. Like, if you can't communicate what's going on, how is he ever going to understand how to change the behavior? And it's like, okay, that's not going to happen. We're just going to sit here and figure out how to talk to each other, even if the talking gets loud. There's got to
Yeah.
be a way.
There's another way to do this.
There's definitely another way.
Wow. So when you came out to LA, you were like 18?
20. Just turned 20. Yep.
And when did you, in your timeline, I mean, I'm sure there was music in the church,
Yeah.
right? And there's the music from your sister. When did you realize that you had a talent to make music, that you had a good voice?
Man, the voice thing, I sang a lot when I was a kid, and one way that I rebelled against my mom was she would want me to always sing in church. And at some point when I got old enough to be like, no, I'm not doing it, I didn't. And I was out in school, I was going to college at a place called MI, right off of Hollywood Boulevard. And at some point I started writing, because I had this job, an internship for Diane Warren. And that's, yeah.
But how do you just get that?
There
How
was
does that just happen?
there was this really amazing music business teacher we had at MI, and it was one of those things where people didn't get how powerful this lady was, a lady named Ruta Sepetys. And she was an amazing teacher. Like, everything she was saying was so pertinent to what was happening in the music business. She was managing Steve Vai and this band called Lit. There's a couple other people that were like really successful. And so she was really doing the music business. And there were a lot of like guitar players and teachers in the school who were like great musicians, but they weren't in the business, and people missed it. And I kept watching her when I came to school, and I was like, she's the one who knows like what's really up. And so I went to her after class one evening. I was like, look, whatever you did to get you where you are right now, I'll do it. Any suggestions that you have for internships, or if you hear of anybody who needs somebody to work for them, I'll do it, and I won't make you look bad, I promise. And she called a couple of days later and was like, I have a friend who works for the songwriter. You might have heard of her. Her name's Diane Warren. And at the time, I hadn't. I was like this indie music jazz kid snob.
Sure.
And she was like, just do the interview. Don't make me look bad. And just get there on time. And that's it. Just see what happens. And I did, and I lied my way through this whole interview because at the time, it was making duplications, and we'd have to send out tapes to artists directly. And they had this, like, 2 racks of tape machines that needed, like, when she would give you a song, she's like, I want this song to go to so-and-so, but we need to send 5 copies out. And I'd never done anything like that before, but I kind of looked at how it was wired, and I remember it being on some wheels, this big rack of things, and just kind of looking around at everybody and just being like, I just turned it on the wheels, and I just kind of pretended that I understood how it was wired. And it was like, oh, you guys have it like this. Oh, I get it.
Oh, okay.
And they're like, and I asked, I was like, why do you have it like this? Wouldn't it be better wired this way? Because there was this one thing that was disconnected, and they were like, oh, we don't know what that means. And I was like, cool. So I just kind of lied through it, and it got the gig, and just would not stop showing up to her office. Like, I would always find some work to do or something like that. So yeah, I got that gig, and I started seeing what it was like, what it meant to be like disciplined in writing, like what it took to actually survive in the business. So I started writing songs there while I was in school, like really writing songs. And none of the singers I had would show up for any of the bands that I put together. The singers were always late, and there was always a lot of attitude and just this like I'm gonna have to start singing again. And that's when it was like, okay, I just got to learn to do this and accept it. I didn't like my voice at all. I still think I've got a really strange, it's a weird voice, it's a strange one. It's mine.
But don't you, yeah, but like, I feel like those are the best voices.
They're honest. That's the thing, is like, I can listen to it now, but in the beginning I was like, it just sounds like me. You know what I mean?
Yes. That guy again?
That dude. And it's like that kind of ego thing where you're like, I don't want to hear myself that much, but you do, and you get used to it to some degree. But the singers that I've, like, especially working for Diane, the coolest singers that I've ever seen come in were always the ones who were like, oh, I don't know about how I'm sounding today. I'm not sure. Like, there was a time where Patti LaBelle came in and we were working on a record, and she, of all people, was like, I'm not sure about myself today. And it's like, what?
You're Patti fucking
Patti
LaBelle.
LaBelle, come on. And at that point, that level of humility just kind of washed over everything whenever that kind of artist is around. And it's like, okay, yeah, everybody's going to, like, the people who are cool are going to be second guessing what they're up to.
And who were your sort of like musical influences, inspiration at the time? I mean, you had Kurt Cobain hair.
Yeah, it was a total Kurt Cobain thing, probably more so than I realized. Like, I mean, that was like, yeah, in high school, that was the band, man. Like 10th grade, 11th grade, that was like, I remember learning that record inside and out, not even realizing like I could play it at first, just kind of listening and just being like, oh, I got this. So we had that band, and then it was just one of those things that kind of like, it kind of became a sound, but I was always into like kind of synth-ish music. And then because like synth and bluegrassy southern stuff, a lot of these combos didn't quite add up. But then being around Diane, understanding what the music business kind of required to survive. Like, you need to have hooks, you got to write, you got to have these elements of this in order to be able to be successful. And my idea of what success is in the music business is a bit skewed, because I always compare everything to what she did. And right. So you know what I mean? It's like, if I do something, it's like, it's still not good enough.
So after that time with her, that internship, like what happens next for you?
Eventually I stopped working for her. I worked for another studio part-time and start like really pushing to get record deals and things like that. Nothing was happening. I got a deal with, I was over at a place called Rock Mafia. I was working for a guy named Tim James and Antonina Armato. And they signed me to a deal. It was okay, but they were never going to really release any of the music that I had. And that's when I was going through my first divorce, and I moved in with all these guys from Sweden. There was a gentleman by the name of Alexander Kronlund, who was going back to Sweden for his like summering time. And he was just like, look, you need a place to stay at my house, watch it, make sure it's safe, because it was in a funky part of town. So he had me stay at his place, and that got me into the world of the hanging out with the Swedes. And one of his best friends growing up, like they went to high school together, college together, was Max Martin. And so I would just hang out with those guys. What I was doing musically wise was nothing anywhere near the level in my mind of what they were working on. It was just cool to be able to be around it. And Martin, he overheard everybody talking about going to Sweden for the summer like the following year. And I just couldn't join the guys. I didn't have cash to take off 2 or 3 weeks to go and like just have a summer vacation like that. And he's like, dude, I'll pay for it. And I thought it was typically an LA kind of thing. Like somebody's like, I'll do that for you. And he was serious. Literally the next morning, his travel agent was like, we're ready for you whenever you want to come by. And that kind of got that world going.
Wow.
Martin heard, like, after that trip, I wrote a song with one of the other guys on the property, this Tobias Carlson, who ended up producing and writing most of, the record with me. We wrote a song and we sent it back to Martin and to Alex. And Alex made sure that Martin listened to it. And he's like, hey, I know you have a record deal, but if you can basically over time, he's like, if you could get out of that, I can get you a publishing deal and maybe something else. If you could write a couple more songs like that one. And we did. And sure enough, he came through. A couple months later, he was like, come up to New York. I got to talk to you about some stuff. I'll fly you up. And he flew me to New York and met with his business partner. And they're like, Backstreet Boys want to cut that song you guys did called I'm Not Over. And we're like, what? He's like, but I don't think it's the right idea. I think you should do it. Just keep it as yours. And I'll help you produce the whole record. We'll split it 50-50. You get half, I get half. Whatever we sell this thing for, we're all good. As long as you stay cool whenever we're working together. And that was the path.
Jesus Christ.
What a ride, right?
Well, what a ride. I was literally, before you mentioned your first divorce, I was about to ask you about the birds, because your mom said that you loved the ladies.
Yeah.
You're this sort of Kurt Cobain looking musician in LA in a time.
Mm-hmm.
You're hanging out with a bunch of Swedes.
Yep.
What does the dating scene look like for you? I mean, how old were you when you got married the first time?
23.
A child groom.
Yeah, totally. We did the Vegas thing too. We just like went to Vegas, did it, and it didn't work out.
But what was it about being married that was it just sort of like the romantic notion of it?
Yeah, and it was kind of still that old religious part. Like I hadn't gotten rid of that. Like I was living with Lauren, that was her name, or is her name. She's still alive. I think she had some friends come in that were like part of an agape church of some sort, and they took us to church, and they were asking all these married couples to stand up, and we had been living together for a while, and she was like, we should be able to stand up too, and I was like, well, fuck it, let's go to Vegas. And we did, and it didn't work. It was like neither one of us were quite mature enough to actually be in a marriage yet. Like we were.
Yeah, because you were children.
Yeah, like it just wasn't there, and we were both trying to figure out what to do career-wise, all of the things, and it just didn't work. So I got to move into the Swedish household where it was just amazing. There were all these like beautiful humans coming from Sweden, and ended up getting like a fairly long-term girlfriend from Sweden. She was a stylist, An amazing stylist, dude. She worked for Jonas Okerlund and I think it was called B Funk and the All Stars. So she would style these incredible movies and TV shows. Just a total badass. I mean, just rad girl. And so she and I were together for a while, but she had her demons too, and that didn't last too long enough. And then broke up with her on the road while the music was like really going off the rails. So that was a good time. There was still a lot of that.
Yeah, a lot of that.
I know.
And how do you, when you're on the road, you know, like you're sort of haven't quite shed this religious mooring in you, and I still view you, just the little I know about you and from our few conversations, like I think you're still a very spiritual person.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
But you know, being on the road in the sort of rock and roll lifestyle, how do you square that circle? Like, are you drinking? Are you partying?
Oh, yeah. Doing all of it.
What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I look back at it now. I lived it full out. Like, I went full tilt. But the funny thing is, for the most part, like any like one night stands or anything like that it had come of that, I guess they're not one night stands because most of these people I still talk to. There's a lot of people I still am in contact with because a lot of that stuff, the drinking or the drugs that were there, they kind of brought out this really intense, like almost like you spend a lifetime with a person in 24 hours because you know you're leaving. You know what I mean? And so you get to know people really, really well, and it forces you to just lay all your cards out on the table. And you practice that enough, and then all of a sudden you kind of get to be that person all the time without all the fuel from it. Like in some ways it can open you. If you stop at some point, you got to pull the plug and be like, yo, this is nasty. You can't be this human all the time. You don't need it anymore. Like that.
You need to stop to have the perspective.
Yeah, totally. And get back to being respectful. Like at some point, you're like, okay, you've learned enough from this. Like there's enough here. You know it's not going to change. This is what the perspective of this is. You can be honest that this is who you were or what part of your life, part of your personality, it's in there. But it doesn't have to be some uniform you wear all the time.
And as all of this is going on, you mentioned the music's going off the rails. Mm-hmm. When was the moment for you where you were like, holy shit, like people know my music, they know me?
Man, we were in Ireland one time, like the first time to Ireland, and like I think it was the Academy, the Academy Club. That was one of the first ones where the songs really weren't out yet. But I think it was LimeWire or one of those things.
Yeah, Napster.
And we got there, and the venue had sold out. And we're like, well, that's a good sign because we had like radio happening with one song. But when we got there, as soon as the first beat dropped, everybody in that club sang the whole set. Not just one person. Everybody who showed up sang with us the whole time. And it was so emotional. Like there was no better drug that I have ever taken, still to this day.
And then so much about this music that you were making kind of became the backdrop of like these big like cultural moments and shows and movies and stuff.
Totally.
Like when I was just like, you know, kind of going through, you know, where some of your songs have appeared, it was kind of like a trip down nostalgia lane.
Sure.
But like it wasn't really your aesthetic. Like I don't think if somebody had said to you like, hey, we're gonna play your song on the Hills,
no,
you would have been like, cool.
Yeah, I just wasn't even sure what the hell the Hills were, to tell you the truth. I remember that was it.
There was like an Ashton Kutcher, Cameron Diaz movie,
that rom-com,
which I'm like,
What Happens in Vegas. Well,
you would know that better than anybody, Mr. Vegas.
Yeah, totally. It didn't stay in Vegas. It came home.
It didn't stay in Vegas. So just like this really crazy, and for you coming from, you know, the literal trailer park to touring globally, to having Max Martin on speed dial and, you know, being someone that you were very close with, this kind of like iconic legend in the music world. Did you have the sort of infrastructure internally to do like responsible financial management, life management?
No.
What happens to you in that situation?
I mean, I did. Like, I thought that I had my first business manager. Like, I had to fire him because they just like things got real squirrely. Like, somebody was living in a hotel off of some credit card that I had, And so that happened. Tour manager was, I think he ended up going back on some drugs that he thought that he had kicked. And the mental part for me just wasn't there. Anytime that I would talk about like having a bit of a struggle, it was just like, oh, this and that. And so I didn't have it. And so what ended up happening was I got married for the second time. And in that, like, that was another one of those things where in the person that I found there, I thought was like, I needed some strength around me. Now, I shouldn't have like thought of putting that all on somebody else, but I thought that was going to be like my rock there. And it turns
Yeah.
out like when things really hit the fan and things started falling apart, she dipped too. Like all of it fell apart. I mean, everything. The band went one way, she went one way. Like I've got a kid. All of it is just like I can't get a grasp on any of it. And what I thought was a solid foundation just turned in, you know. And it is that story, like that thing on the VH1 thing where you're like, I thought I did everything right. I had the good management. I had all the people in play, but I just couldn't keep up with it. And mentally, I crashed out so bad. I lost everything. She left me. She took her son. I could not find anywhere to really work again. It was just one of those things where I'd gotten a publishing deal, but the publishing deal didn't land with any new songs anywhere. We started working with Scooter Braun. That didn't go anywhere. It was like all these signs of things that should be leading up to something, but it all just failed. So I ended up homeless for a while.
Like how long's a while?
About 6 months.
Wow, that is a while.
It was a minute, because then I started doing like delivering for Postmates. Like that was one thing I could do. I still had like my good car. I had like a Range Rover that I had. It was like delivering with that. And then eventually that got repoed. I was in some hotel somewhere and they came and took the car. But ultimately I knew I needed to possibly go back to South Carolina to be like, just to get some stability around people that I could trust. And most people I could trust, but mentally I was so checked out. There were plenty of people that would have helped me, but I couldn't see it, you know, at the time, because everything had split so bad. That just
you had to go back to factory settings.
Yeah, and I couldn't leave. There's no way in the world I was going to leave my son to be here without his dad at that age. There's just no way.
How old was he when
it really hit?
She left?
He was almost 4. So right around then. So it's like he's really like, it was his dad. Like he needed it.
Yeah.
She had some influences that I didn't necessarily agree with. And so it's like, man, I'm not going to do it. So I lived out of my car, and on the weekends I would get a hotel room, save cash, get a hotel room, something like that, and make it like an adventure whenever he got to be with me. And so I would still take him to school in the mornings, like get there, like do everything I possibly could to be there for him, because there was just no way possible I was going to be that dude who was in a band who just dipped on his kid because his head was going south. I mean, it was at that point, at some point, I thought I was going to take my own life because I just couldn't get a hold of it. And he was really the thing that saved me, was in that, like, knowing, like, nope, you're not doing that. You're not going to, like, ease that.
Somebody needs you.
Well, that's really what it was.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, yeah, that's right. He needs me, and I need him more than anything else right now, really. You know what I mean? It's like, that's my goal. And that became my work for the longest time. It was just like being like, okay, that's how I started teaching at the School of Rock. He was going over there, and I was like, this is a good thing. I don't know if I can really teach. And then I got into like teaching little kids. That's kind of like my specialty, is like some reason I can just kind of hear their thoughts and work with those guys. And so I don't teach as much as I was. Now I'm back to like almost full-time touring and writing and working on strictly music, but I still find time to teach, because it's that, and knowing these little guys need access to music, and some parents like need to see like how talented their children can be at early ages. So it's really been the thing that saved me. But as far as things going off the rails and not having the infrastructure, I really didn't, and I thought that I did, but no, because I'd never known like real money like that before either. I'd worked for people who'd had money, but not to that level. Like, and I think a lot of the people that were around me were so wealthy that when they looked down to what my thing was, they're like, that's not a problem. And it's like,
right.
You know what I mean?
Well, how old is your son now?
He's 14.
My God, so he's a big kid.
Yeah. He's coming out and doing some of the touring with us this summer. So he's playing
Yeah?
bass. Yeah. He's coming
I
to
was
play
just gonna
bass on
ask.
it.
So it sounds like he's into music as well.
Yeah, he's a really special musician. He's one of those guys that like he hears. It's one of those things you kind of can't teach people to a certain degree. You can at later stages in life, but he always hears the inversions of things in the right place. Like he could hear he like got into playing listening to Billy Joel, and I was like, I'll show you how to play it on piano. And I started showing him some of the chord voices. He's like, I think it's like this, Dad. And he came over and he played the notes I was playing, but he put it in the right inversions. I was like, oh, okay, cool, man. You're right. And it was really fun to be able to like be an adult and look at it and be like, hey, you're right. Like it's so nice to look at your kid and be like, hey, you have something better than I will. And this is amazing. Like, let me teach you how to like use that as a survival skill. Like you have a thing now that could pay your bills, or like you may not choose to do it as a career forever, but you can teach, it's like almost teaching him how to fish in some ways. Like
Yes.
use this skill to like, there's your foundation point. Now you can do this to go everywhere else, but you know what perfection is for you in one place. You have this base point. Now use that and you can build from there. But yeah, that's a magic thing with kids, like being able to have that with them.
And he's 14 now. That's around the age where you and your mom kind of came to a head, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And what's sort of the like parenting dynamic? Because I'm sure he's an extremely cool kid, but all kids want to think their parents are lame and rebel or whatever. So like what's your dynamic?
Our dynamic is amazing, actually. Like I'm still waiting. There's been a couple of times where he's like pushed back on some stuff. There was like a texting incident where one of his friends called some people out and was being incredibly racist, like one of his buddies. And I was like, look, I won't put up with it. I don't care if you're joking or not. Those friends are out. You can't talk to them. You can't be a part of that anymore because that just cannot exist. And he never fought back against it. He was mad that I took his texting away for a while and everything. And then like he almost got expelled from his really special school that he's in because of what happened. And none of his other friends got in trouble. And he saw that on his own. And he came back to me later at some point and was just like, wait, they didn't really care about me. Like they didn't come back to like get my back. And I was like, that's a good observation, man. And that's what we're trying to tell you is like life will work that way. And you just, unfortunately, it's not judgment, it's creating boundaries. And you need to know that like somebody could get you in trouble like that and they'll just dip. You have to know that like you got to stand on your own morals, your own thing, like know what's right in your world. Like if that person's talking that way and that's not you, don't associate. Have that boundary. Know that these are the things that make you uncomfortable. It's good that you made a mistake in there. Now you know where not to go again. And that's kind of where we're at.
It sounds amazing. And what is, again, given your, and I think there's a third wife, or a third partner, maybe?
Third partner, yeah.
Which we'll get to. But like, are you also having conversations with him about like relationships and partnership and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think he sees it really well because the dynamic between the two families is so different between what his mom and his stepdad do. And they're both super cool. Like his stepdad is like, I could not ask for a better stepdad to be in his life in no way, shape or form. That dude is just down. He's a farmer, but lives in Encinitas. He's got a farm in Minnesota. Rides motorcycles. He's a dude, like proper dude in that way. But their dynamic is like maybe a little bit more talkative, and his thing is like Wyatt's is like super quiet. And Sam and I, my partner now, the two of us are just, we don't argue, we don't fight. There's no tension, nothing like I have ever had before in my life. Like it is just so like. It's not always easy going. There's always that thing, but we've just kind of like, I'm really grateful for her. Like nobody's ever loved me like this before, where she's just like real support, like no judgment, like really no judgment in that way. Like she's just like like that raw acceptance of like, yeah, I was that guy who was out partying on the road and did things. And she's like, great, so did I. And so it's like, yeah, good. I'm glad you did. You lived like the way that you wanted to live. And I don't judge that. And she doesn't either. And so I think he gets to see that there could be a conflict.
There's different styles.
Different styles. Like he's got his whole setup here. And he really does live in both households. So he's got perspective on it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Where did you and Sam meet?
We met because of him, actually, because he is best friend. We went over for a play date at his best friend's house, and Sam was friends with his best friend's parents. And turns out she lived not very far from where he was living in Laurel Canyon. And at some point, she had her house, and she needed somebody for another room she was renting out in the place. And I was like, I'll move in. I can walk to my son's house and take him to school. That's perfect. Timing worked out great. And nothing happened between the two of us for years while I was in that house. I knew all of, like, she was going through some crazy things with some boyfriends that she was having at the time. She was just dating these, like, real user type guys because she's such a giver of a human being. She was just caught up with all of that. And she and I would just talk in the mornings before either of us would go to work every day. It'd be like coffee in the kitchen. And at some point, some friends of ours had asked me to come to play a graduation party in Hawaii. And they were like, amazing. And they were like, bring your son, but what we suggest is bring somebody who can watch your son, so while you're working, you'll be comfortable with your son being here, and we'll pay for all of it. And initially, like, not even that much of a snap. It's like, of course, Sam, she can come. Her and Wyatt have a thing, and at one point while we were at that stay, Sam kind of brought it up, and I looked at it, and I was like, oh my God, am I gonna miss this? Like, we already have this like little tribe that we're building here, and you and Wyatt get along perfectly. Like, why would I ever, like, in any way, shape, or form, look for anything else? Like, this is it. This is simple, and it works. And
wow,
we can, like, the love that we have for each other is already pretty real. Like, I don't know what else we really need. Like, this is teamwork for a change. Like, that's it. And everything has been easy. And so we got engaged, and Wyatt and I talked about it together. So we got engaged with her together. So he helped me.
Oh my God, that makes me want to cry. That's so sweet.
Yeah, we had to. That was like what had to happen.
We had to. We're a team.
Yeah.
Wow. That is really special.
Yeah.
And now, where are you? So if we think about all of the sort of the boxes of who Chad is as a person, we've got this beautiful sort of love of women comes to this like
for real deep love.
This deep real respect of one woman, right?
Totally.
You've got this. You always knew that you would do something differently if you were ever a dad, and then presented the opportunity. You have done something different. Yeah. And then professionally, you kind of hit your rock bottom, found a way to still like be with music and have it have meaning through teaching kids. And now you're back in this place of really the music being in your own creative space again. Yeah. Tell me about what this chapter is looking like for you musically, because I know there's a bunch of exciting things going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. Like, I guess it's one of those things where you just have to kind of get to a point where you're really healed up. And all this stuff is just coming. Like, there's a movie that I'm working on right now, something called Concert Heroes, where he was a fan of the band years ago. He came to a show in San Diego, like while we were on tour with Kelly Clarkson. He came to a show, that's 10 years ago or more, and he became a fan. And at one point, he's like, "Hey, I'm putting together this really kind of funny comedy about like people who show up at concerts." And they just kind of like, well, this is the T-shirt seller, or this is the couple that's always making out at concerts. He's like, I just want to use one or two of your songs. And he sent me the script, and I was like, why don't you just use the whole record? Let's figure out how to do it. And so it turns out it's Chris Kattan, all these like E.G. Daily, a couple other like crazy stars that he's been able to put together for this movie. And they're using the original Coming to Terms record, the whole thing.
Wow.
As one of the bands in the movie, like this fake band in the movie is playing all those records. And then Rhinos decided that they're going to re-release that album on vinyl we had a hidden single that we had written with Max Martin and Alexander Kronlund, the guy that I was living at his house. That single had never been released, so we have that. That's on this record. There's another movie that's kind of coming up that I might get to be able to be the lead in the thing, and I'm not really an actor, but
I mean, I'm sorry,
why
I'm
not?
pretty sure you were in the jazz flute scene
Oh yeah,
in The
dude.
Anchorman.
Yeah, I am an actor.
You were in The Anchorman, one of the best movies of all time.
Yeah, dude. Right. That's true. That did happen.
What is this movie?
This next one, it's interesting because it's kind of about a guy who kind of hits it out of the park living in a place outside of Florida. He hits it out of the park in the 90s as a band, but he, the lead singer, basically dips on the band because it's his show, and he leaves the band. Somebody in the band ends up dying, and he leaves everybody and has to come back to town because he wants to reinvigorate his career. So he has to come back, and the story behind it starts to get very real. That's the kind of fun part. It's like, as Steve and I were talking about this film, it's like if a band guy was to come back into a scene like that, if you really know band guys, and they're like, you always see these things where it's like hunky-dory and everybody's back. I was like, no. If those guys, like, basically you're carnies when you're living out on the road, and you know what I mean? You get really tough in ways that you don't expect. And so I was like, if a band dude really walked back in like that, he would get his ass handed to him in so many ways. It's never one of those, like, I'm just going to hug it out. It's like, that dude's going to get his ass kicked. And if we could do something like that really shows the reality of what that would actually look like, let's go. I don't mind.
Yeah.
Like, let's show the real, make it dirty. So it's kind of where that's going. And then we get to tour this summer. We got a couple shows coming up. It's like, Summerfest. We get to play this big old festival out on July 4th in Milwaukee. That's like,
Amazing.
yeah, something we did years ago. So it's pretty amazing.
And is this you and all the original guys?
No, this is like this cool thing that we're calling like a garage gospel, where it's for the most part it's me and just a drummer, and we took all those Carolina songs. We're writing new stuff, but we just took it just to see if we could boil it down to just guitar and drums. And Wyatt will come in and play bass occasionally, but it's like, will the songs hold up like that? And I was like, yeah, because that's what it is. And I think, to me, that's the thing that's missing out of live concerts now, is like the risk factor, because this thing is really risky. There's no tracks, there's nothing. It's just the two of us, and no extra tricks. Just like, can you really do it? Can you get back to what you used to do when you were a kid, but with real songs? Can that work? And it's scary because it's like, it's starting to work, but it's such a like magnifying lens on the playing ability, and it could sound bad, but it's great. Like, that's real. I think people miss that thing of real connectivity on like being human, like that experiential thing. Like, this moment will only last right now. Whatever you guys see the next show won't be this. So it's kind of fun.
This is so crazy. You are having such a literal do-over moment right now.
Oh yeah, dude. Full on.
In a really profound and kind of obvious way that, like, people don't get
to do this. No. This is funny. My partner was saying that the other night too. She was just laughing. She was like, how are you doing this? Like, how are you like putting this together? I was like, I don't know. I'm just like, there is some sort of manifestation to it. It's like, okay, this is going to be what this time frame is now. And I've put it out there, but like, all these little cool ingredients are coming together. And, the other part that I get to do, I can't mention the name of the group that I work with, but I get to go to colleges and high schools and talk about these kids that need to understand kindness now. So I'm going to colleges, high schools, elementary schools, and teaching just awareness and like going back and like really giving back. And I think that was always the biggest thing that I missed as an artist back in the day, was I didn't give anything back. I was just a pirate. I would go to towns, it's like, take whatever it was mine, what I thought was mine, and just dip. And now it's like, I get to go back and actually live based off of that kind of agreement that I had with the universe at some point. I was like, if you do this, if you get to be in the music business, it's a service business. And your job is to provide that service, like to teach people how to live off of these emotions, find something to help people, find some relative points that they share, and put them in a room together, realize we're all on this thing sharing it together. And I'd forgotten that. And I think that may be why I get this chance to do this now. It's like I see it and I'm reminded every day, like, you've got to give back. Like, you keep
everything's lined up because sort of karmically the accounting has been correctly done this time.
Yeah, and I'm really trying hard to stick with that as much as possible. It's like really being put in check, like, do the right thing, man. Like, get in there, like, be responsible, like, speak out, say who you really are, don't be afraid, because if it does come from this, like, you're living by this thing of love, like, I still, like, I am, like, very aware of, like, the idea of what Jesus was to me as a kid. And it's not that church thing. It's this thing of, like, accepting everybody. And what does that mean? That means accepting every religion, every person, every faith, everything. Like, how do you keep the door open for all people? That was the job. That's all you got to do. If you can live that example, then that's it. But you have to do it. And so that's...
I think we would be in a better place in general if that was the directive we were all taking.
Yeah. I think so too. And if we could get to this place of, like, maybe giving, for me, I know for a cold fact that my life I've spent working for really powerful women. There have been, like, so many. My first job at Austin Construction was for this lady named Mary Olive Austin. She was amazing. She was this beautiful lady who, like, her husband died, and she got a hold of, like, it was her job to run this, like, rock quarry that they had. And she had 3 boys out of this thing. And so she became this, like, dominant figure who had to basically become a man, especially in that time frame. She had to pretend to be this tough thing, but she was to a certain degree, but then there was still this part of her that was just this, like, super feminine, like, caring, big old warm human. So she was just this magic creature. I saw her first, and then working for Diane, working for my mom, trying to think, like, the people that I work for with this other speaking, most of that is all women that run that. And it's like, yeah, maybe we stop. And if we could force that, we're like, maybe women should be in charge a little bit more now, because...
Maybe women should be in charge a little bit more. Save for the people in the back.
I mean, we've gotten it so wrong for so long. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, let's try something different. At least, come on. Like, what? Like, this is not good. Like, you know what I mean?
This is not good.
Yeah, 10,000 years of whatever sort of, like, human existence, and we're still doing the same thing. My son and I were laughing about it the other night. We were just like, wait, it's like being in an insane asylum where you just refuse to do anything different as humans.
So
like, this isn't working. Like,
I love that those are the conversations you guys are having.
Oh, dude, it's the best. It's so cool. I couldn't ask for anything better. Like, yeah, let's talk about this stuff, dude. Like, how can we keep this going?
I love it. Before I let you go, there is one question I need to ask. It's a very practical question. Okay. Introducing music to kids in terms of, like, instruments and stuff. Mm-hmm. I feel like there are different schools of thought, and I just want to get your professional opinion on so many levels.
Okay.
Some people say, my brother, who's also in the music industry, is like, piano first above everything.
Yeah.
Agree or disagree?
Agree to a point, but here's where I would differ from piano. I think the right thing is having something that's keyed and visual, and you can make sound with it immediately. To his point, I think a xylophone is better, because the xylophone is keyed the same way. You get sharps and flats in it, but you got this, and it's just a little bit more, like, when you think about how kids, this is where the motor skills are.
They like to hit shit.
They
also
like to hit things. And so that, like, you can teach them, like, immediately how to sing notes. Like, they can see it. And that motor skill moment, that thing, that is big. And then you can slowly get to the micro movements, slowly, and bringing it smaller and smaller and smaller. But you think about that, toys for babies and stuff, they're big. And as you get older, things just get smaller. And so that articulation, just that frustration point isn't there so much. Like, you get there and you make sound. but 100% on the melody. Like, yes, if you're going to study something formally, probably piano, because there is technique that has to be in there, and you can visually see things in front of you a little easier. But yeah, I would go that route, or the best bet is just put music on and see how your child moves. Like, how are they moving? Are they moving with their hands? Is it a big body movement? Is it their legs? Like, where?
It's a big body movement in my house.
Yeah, so go for some drums. Go for that thing that's like big. Like, let them do something, because then you can slowly bring that energy down. Or like hand drums, if you don't want anything too big and crashy. Like, anything to bring that energy down and let that thing, like, let them find ways to just play. Because it is that philosophy of, you don't teach people how to speak by giving them a book. That's not how it happens. They have to play. So let them imitate stuff. Let them just, like, they're not going to develop that many bad habits. And you can just start seeing where they're inclined. Like, what's the thing that they love? Like, that's it. Like, find something that somebody loves. Like, if they're singing, if they just sing all the time, let them sing. Just give them a microphone and let them just rip.
What if they're terrible?
Even better. Because you don't know what's going to come out of that. You know what I mean? Like, let the thing just be god-awful. And just, like, let it go. Like, just see what comes out. Like, get in there and, like, tangle it up. And you can easily just, like, write me a song today. What did you have for breakfast? Like, make a beat out of it. Like, how many beats are in your name? Like, you can make everything musical. And all of a sudden you can, you can break down the theories and all that stuff. There's a music lesson in everything. You're doing math. You're doing fractions. 3/4 time. And I don't know. There's so much to it. So I wouldn't get too caught up in like what instrument should be the first one. Just get them into music. It's just, and wait and see. There's, it's kind of like unwrapping an egg. Or not egg.
I love it.
Yeah, you can slowly, not an egg, what is it?
I get an onion.
Onion, maybe an onion. Yeah, could be something
maybe an
good.
onion.
Maybe an onion, taking the skin off, see what's inside.
Eggs have layers.
Yeah.
Just not as many.
Not as many.
Chad, this has been so much fun. I'm so excited.
Lovely, Carrie. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy you're here. My kids are really into vinyl right now. They're 2 and 5. They just like the the tactile thing of it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm very excited for this vinyl to come out because we'll have to get it for this house.
Do you guys go to the art sales and just like pick up boxes of vinyl?
We did. We went to the Rose Bowl Flea on Mother's Day and we got the Carpenters.
Right on.
We got an old Madonna album.
That Carpenter stuff for kids, they love it. It's like her voice is so velvety and she's such a great drummer. Oh, we got some good stuff recently, and we live really close to Licorice Pizza. I don't know. On Ventura, that spot on Ventura. Yeah, dude, tight.
So
because they always sell vinyl in there, right?
Yeah, I can't wait for people to hear this conversation. This is the perfect Father's Day episode.
Right on.
Truly.
Dude, thanks.
Because parenthood is not about being perfect, but it's about being honest and open with our kids about who we are and loving them through it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the best things I've got to experience so far is like being able to tell my son eye to eye, be like, hey, I'm not going to get this right, man. I'm just figuring out how to be a parent right now myself. So just know that, and you can call me out on it. Let me know. Like, giving your kids permission in a sensible way. Like, if something, you really don't think I'm doing something right, there's a way that you can communicate with me and tell me, like, I don't necessarily agree with that behavior, Dad. Like, I want you to do that, and we'll figure it out together. So it's like, yeah, it's important, especially being a dad these days. You got to be open and available.
Amen. Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.
Team, I need your help. If you love it here, please like and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe to the Substack for full access to this episode's show notes and join the discussion. And of course, follow me on Instagram at mutha, mutha.life for a daily look at all things mother. Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next week for another Chat in the Closet. This podcast was produced by Mother Life, music by Ronan Landa. See you next time.